Let's get the podcast started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Nerd-Vana podcast. We had something nice planned, but we just decided to actually go full podcast and just get started. So I have to say goodbye to the clown mask right there. It was supposed to be a whole October-related thing because this is October, but I had a nice whole thing planned for it. But well, since it's 2021, I've kind of lost all my give-a-fucks. all right.
I lost mine a long ass time ago.
I'm an optimist.
I'm a realist.
I've heard that before, and I've heard that line before in movies.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right, Ian, all right, so it's the month of October, and we decided to not do a horror movie this month, but we decided to do 3 movies that actually are pretty relevant to the month of October. Ian, tell everyone what we're doing.
Great Scott! I've forgotten!
Oh,
Back to the Future!
Oh, thank God you remembered. For a second, this was starting to look heavy.
Is there a problem with the gravitational pull in your area?
No, but there's a problem with the obesity. Anyway.
Well, mass does correlate to gravity, so
Anyway, Back to the Future is actually one of my favorite, not only one of my favorite 80s movies, it's also my favorite trilogy of all time. This is my absolute favorite, actually. Ian, that face. That's how you definitely wanted to say something.
I did initially, but then I remembered the third one. We'll get to it. I immediately went to Jurassic Park, and then I remembered, I understand. I will choose to keep quiet now. It is, but yes, Back to the Future does have, from what I've seen, one of the best trilogies.
Yeah, and also with a very loyal fan base and a very highly protective rights holders. Which is amazing because in an era of so many sequels and reboots, as well as the types of remakes and reboots that were started from Ghostbusters, Answer the Call, Back to the Future is so far the one franchise that has not been has not suffered from it, and that's because, and this is also right at the top of the list of IMDb, that the rights to the film and the sequels are owned by Robert Zemeckis, the director, and producer Bob Gale. And they said in a 2015 interview that Zemeckis maintained that no reboot or remake of the film would be authorized during his or Gale's lifetime.
Oh, although I have heard some rather interesting interviews with a certain someone who said he would be very interested in coming back for a part 4.
Are you talking about Christopher Lloyd?
Yes.
I found that video too. He'll only do that under one condition.
If Michael J. Fox returns as well.
Mm-hmm. I know that's kind of amazing. That's kind of amazing that, and it's not because it's like he doesn't want to work with any other actor. It's just they're really good friends, not only on screen but in real life.
Absolutely, and I gotta say, I kind of agree with them.
Yeah, honestly, I don't really want another Back to the Future. I mean, I would like to see more adventures with the DeLorean, the iconic DeLorean. I mean, but I would actually more like to see like a little mini series of just between Doc and Marty, like the stuff, just the regular stuff that they do. Just kind of see how they get, just kind of see the friendship.
Well, wasn't there an animated series at one time? This was an 80s show.
Yeah, there was. I did not know about the animated series until about 10 years ago, I think, or yeah, 10 years ago during the DVD years. That transitionary period from full screen to widescreen. Oh boy, that was that was a time that really taught you to read the fine print.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, it's honestly one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite movies from the 80s. It honestly, in terms of favorite, for me, it's Aliens, then Back to the Future.
Ooh, good list. Good list, yeah. And
then Terminator. And then Terminator.
I was gonna say, where's Terminator? What about Predator?
Terminator. And Predator is not. It's enjoyable, but it's not a favorite. I judge favorites based on quality of the film and just overall enjoyability.
And yeah, Back to the Future is definitely not only enjoyable, but it's very high quality of one.
Oh my gosh, especially for the damn 80s with the effects that it had.
I know, yes. Oh god, and it's amazing is that it started with it started like all other ideas in Hollywood. It's a simple what if question, but it's not like what you'd think it would be. You didn't ask what if I made a time travel movie with a car from the 80s. No, it just started when Bob Zemeckis was looking through his parents' yearbook, just searching through it, saw a picture of his dad as a teenager, and said, what if I went back in time? Would I be best friends with my dad? And there you go. That's the concept that started Back to the Future.
What if my high school self went back to the future to meet John and or back to the past? Yeah, Back to the Future. Goddamn. What if I went back to the past to meet John in his high school years? That just sounds like utter chaos. Knowing us now.
I was pretty different in high school. Yeah, I wasn't.
I sort of was.
You've only been out of high school, what, 3 years?
I think 4. Almost 3.5. So yeah. So I have changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
I don't put up with as much bullshit. Instead, I clean up alligator shit, which is 10 times worse. But we're not here talking about my job.
Yes. All right, so
make a different podcast for that.
Yeah. All right, so Back to the Future. Like we said, it's pretty high on the list of our favorite movies for the 80s. It's my absolute favorite. It's my absolute favorite trilogy. I think how I actually came across it, I think I caught it, my first earliest memory of seeing Back to the Future was I caught the tail end of Part 3, which if you've seen Back to the Future Part 3, when the train comes up, the time traveling train, and I didn't know it was Back to the Future at the time, and I think I was about 5 or 6 about that. And fast forward 10 years later, I catch Back to the Future Part 2, and just seeing the Delorean, seeing it fly, and seeing the sounds. I eventually got around to seeing the entire trilogy, and good God, I see why it's so beloved.
So your initial experiences, I suppose I should say, were all over the goddamn place.
like so many others. I mean, there were so many movies I saw as a kid that I didn't know what they were, and then I'd find them I'd find out years later. Like off the top of my head, movies that I saw as a kid, didn't know the name of, and would eventually find years later was Back to the Future, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Empire Strikes Back. And two of those do involve time travel, actually.
Empire Strikes Back, right? My initial experience with Back to the Future started with the first film. I watched it in a, believe it or not, of all places, a goddamn economics and finance class in high school.
Was it kind of all about was it kind of about showing the difference of prices between the decades?
Not really, no. It was about the goddamn product placement. Literally, that was the point of watching this movie in high school. I thought for the first time as an assignment to keep track of all the different types of product placement that was in it. And like, what a movie! Jurassic World has a ton more product placement than this. Why don't we watch that? The entire concept of Jurassic World is over commercialization. You think that would be more relevant? But no.
Probably because the teacher thought everyone had seen Jurassic World. Wanted to see the movie that, I don't think you kids have seen this. This is an old movie.
I'm not bitter. But regardless, that's how I first saw Back to the Future, as an assignment to write down all the different types of products we saw.
Like, oh boy.
What a reason!
Yes, what a reason.
We didn't even watch it when I took film. I took a film class and we didn't touch on this.
I guess, I don't know.
Your guess is as good as mine, dude.
I don't know why it would be put in a film class. I honestly don't understand the reason for finding product placement. Transformers is also a much better movie for product placement.
I suppose they wanted to show something actually good.
Fair enough.
Shots fired, I suppose.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. All right, so interesting. So how many times did you have to remind yourself a couple of times that, oh right, this is an assignment?
I'm not gonna answer that question.
Oh, come on.
Because it was a good movie. I reminded myself once.
Just once?
Towards the end.
Okay.
Because it was a good movie. I remembered for the first 15 minutes. And then I forgot because it was a good movie.
I think hey, that's not a chew toy.
Why do you give your boys catnip before we record? It seems like every time they're after your cords or whatnot.
As I hardly ever use catnip. I just let them run around.
Well, look what that's getting to you too.
Yep, I might have to do that. Although, wouldn't catnip give them the zoomies?
For a little bit, then they'll crash.
Okay. Oh, so just like sugar for humans.
Yeah. But do we really need to do a summary for Back to the Future?
I mean, well,
we did the concept, but
we did the concept, but really, I mean, a kid from the 80s mistakenly travels back in time to when his parents were teenagers and now has to figure out a way to get back. I mean, if you haven't seen Back to the Future, I asked...
What are you doing with your life, for one?
Yes, exactly. That's the question I ask for everything about good movies.
Jaws, Jurassic Park,
Aliens, Terminator,
Dragon.
Yes, all three. How to Train Your Dragons, RoboCop,
the original.
The original, yes.
Remake was okay.
Yeah, but
could have been a lot worse.
I think what I liked is that, okay, so I saw rewatch Back to the Future a few days ago, and normally this is kind of what I like about rewatching the movies I loved as a kid. Now that I'm more in the mindset of a filmmaker, is that I'm now actually kind of looking at it that makes me re-experience that love. Like, you know how in most movies, like Terminator, Predator, even
all the ones we just listed,
all the ones that we just listed, you'll hear the main theme song like during the opening credits. Not Back to the Future. You don't hear that. You don't hear the main theme until the second time travel scene during the chase with the Libyans.
Yes.
And it's so amazing. You don't think it's the main theme. It's just like a nice rousing adventure and chase song. And then when you hear it during the final act, you're like, oh, this is the main theme. Wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I freaking love the music. I love the sounds that the DeLorean makes, and I love not getting my cat to stop biting my arm.
That's why I shut my door.
I still love you.
Hey, at least it's not a cat and not a gator.
Oh yeah.
I just got another one to work with, so yay.
Oh, Draco's got a playmate?
Yes, Draco has a playmate, and this little guy is named Irwin.
Oh yeah, Irwin. How fitting.
Well, we'll review the Crocodile Hunter movie another time.
Yes, I haven't seen that movie in ages either.
I've never seen it. I just know it exists.
Oh boy, you are in for a treat. All right, but back to Back to the Future. All right, so of course we got a very talented cast.
Oh, absolutely.
With not only the two main characters played by Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd, but we also have good supporting casts in Leah Thompson, Thomas F. Wilson, and Leah Thompson. Did I say Leah Thompson already?
Yeah.
Okay, I meant Crispin Glover. Crispin Glover. I don't listen to myself sometimes when I talk. Yeah, Leah Thompson, Thomas F. Wilson, and Crispin Glover that make up the main cast. And
also, no better picks ever for a movie like this. There has been perfect casting. Enough said.
I know. I know, and it's kind of weird. There over the years there has been footage that surfaced up. Michael J. Fox was the first choice, but to play Marty McFly, but he wasn't available, so they had to go with someone else, and they went with a guy named Eric Stoltz. And recently, over the years, you can actually see some of this footage online. You can see shots side-by-side shots between the movie and the original footage of Eric Stoltz in place of Michael J. Fox. And after a few weeks of shooting, producers, directors were pretty much going like, it's just not right. It's just not right for the part. So they were willing to make a deal to work not only with Michael J. Fox's busy scheduling, because at the time he was filming the sitcom Family Ties, which starred Michael Gross. You remember Michael Gross, Ian?
Oh, he's a fake. We gotta do the new Tremors at some point.
Yeah, why didn't we? We could.
I don't know. We'll do it at some point.
Okay.
Maybe. Maybe.
All right. So
maybe in March.
So he would film the sitcom during the day and would film Back to the Future at night. Of course, there would be a few shots during the day, and it's just it's kind of weird to think like what would happen if they just kept Eric Stoltz. I don't think maybe Back to the Future would be as great as it would be.
Probably not.
Probably wouldn't have gotten those two sequels.
No, it probably wouldn't have been a once and done thing that would have been well remembered, but it probably wouldn't have, like you said, the sequel nor the following that it has today.
Yeah, I mean, it has such a following that according to IMDb, in 2010 during a cast reunion, Michael J. Fox said that strangers still call him McFly constantly. It's and you want to know how much of a following that this movie has? All right. He said that the most remarkable instance was when he was in a remote jungle in the South Asian country Bhutan, located between China and India. A group of Buddhist monks passed him. One of them looked at Fox and said, "Marty McFly!"
Okay, so this has a following.
This has such a following. This is a global following.
I honestly don't know how, but that just speaks to the quality of this film.
And Buddhist monks. They saw it. They saw it. They normally are supposed to live a life of isolation.
Lo and behold, apparently they made an exception for this wonderful piece of art.
Or maybe it's like a different sect, like the Mennonites, the Amish Mennonites.
Yeah, perhaps.
I mean, I didn't know we had some in my area. I actually came across them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aren't Amish villages aren't they like a dime a dozen over in Pennsylvania?
Let's see. There's some on literally the other side of the mountain in that valley, and there's a bunch down in Lancaster County. So yeah, no, they're around. Okay. All over the place over here in PA. Make them damn good food.
I'll bet.
But yeah, no, I mean this movie, if it can reach Buddhist monks, god damn.
I know.
Well done, I suppose.
I know. Michael J. Fox, I mean, he really was perfect to play Marty McFly.
Absolutely.
And Christopher Lloyd, good God, there was no other actor that you wanted. There was plenty of actors in the 80s that you would just love to see that because they made you laugh. Rick Moranis is one of them, and Christopher Lloyd is another one. And he plays Doc Brown, and again, due to the impact of Back to the Future, this movie, these two characters were the inspiration for Rick and Morty.
You can really see it.
Yeah, I know. In fact, I think I saw on Wikipedia that when Christopher Lloyd talking about the character of Rick and Doc Brown, he said that, now I can definitely see Rick and Doc Brown being brothers, but one of them just went on a different path.
Yeah, I can see it.
That is just that's so amazing.
It really does. It really hits home with me with Christopher Lloyd because he has a recurring role in one of my favorite short-lived TV series.
Tremors the series?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yes.
When I saw him for the first time in that series, I was like, that can't be him. Looks up. Oh my gosh, it's him. And of course, in that movie, he plays a freaking scientist. I love it. I love it so much. And oh my gosh. I'm glad he's still around with us today.
Oh yeah. Yeah, same for Michael J. Fox.
Oh my gosh. when those two pass, the world will shed a tear.
Just like when Robin Williams passed, the world's just
or
gonna
Steve
get
Irwin.
Yes, the world's just gonna be a lot more grayer, less beautiful.
It really is. Oh my gosh. Quick, someone make a time machine so we can take these two into the future where that reverse aging shit is actually a thing.
Yes!
They must survive until they make a part 4.
Oh boy.
There was a video game?
Yeah, there was a video game. There were several video games. There was
Are any of them recent?
The Telltale games, which I think was back in the 2010s. And of course,
so Jurassic Park the game then. Cool.
Yeah.
Ish.
Oh, I liked the Jurassic Park game.
I enjoyed it, yeah. I haven't played it, but I've seen it played, and I enjoyed it, so I'm going to have to track that down.
Yeah, I'll have to track back the Back to the Future one as well. I mean,
and there was a musical. I've heard about the musical.
I just found out about the musical. Apparently, it came out last year. What
a time to release a musical.
I know. It premiered in February of 2020. So it just made it.
I'm sure it's online somewhere. Copy of it.
Yeah. Apparently they tried to get it released in 2015 because, well, of course.
We'll get to that.
2015, I missed that year.
Looking back, that was a great year compared to what we've been through.
Mm-hmm. It's been a great year.
John, where's your time machine?
I don't. It's in the shop, but I don't really have any plutonium or a lightning rod to generate the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity.
Maybe Matt will let us borrow his Jeep.
Maybe.
He's not. We'll ask him next time. Next time he's on, we'll ask him.
Yeah. Good God.
How do we even talk about this movie aside from praise every aspect of it?
I think what we talk about is just we talk about kind of our experiences, other memories that we've had, or any.
I don't
have we bought any of the toys? I once had the movie poster of Back to the Future, and it got ripped, and now I don't have it anymore.
His fault?
Was it his fault? No, it wasn't.
Oh. I have seen in Walmart figures of Doc Brown and Marty McFly.
I've seen those too. I've seen all the versions of that. There's even
I've seen them. I've just heard that they're not very durable. So I've held off on getting them.
Yeah, I think that's because they're just meant for model poses. That's probably why they're not. They're just display things.
And one, apparently, because I listened to a podcast that goes over this stuff, that's a sad story of my life. Apparently, once you set them in a pose, you can't change it. Otherwise, it will break. That's why I've held off, because with the Amber Collection shit that I'm collecting now and focusing more on, you can pose that in any friggin' which way, and it's durable. Probably because the figure is like $30. But it's a good quality figure, and it's durable. So I'm tempted to get one in box and leave it in box. So I won't be able to review it, thereby defeating the purpose.
I'd probably do that too. Good. God damn. How the heck do you make a model that you have to pose once?
That defeats the entire point of having it posable.
I know.
Apparently the hand break on Doc Brown.
Oh, jeez.
So I will not buy those, unfortunately.
Dang, and I've been wanting to get those. Of course, I also wanted to get a few Alien figurines, too.
Depending on which ones, they're not too bad. The one I have from, I think it was NECA that I have sitting over there.
NECA, that's always good.
I got mine from NECA it was the 40th anniversary edition. So
yeah.
it's good. I recommend that one. The tail. Life with Cats.
Okay, fine. You want to talk? Come on. Say something.
Father, it's late. What is this crap? Go play with your brother, Hiccup.
All right. I think I'd just rather stick with the toy cars and the toy car and the model car.
I have seen miniature DeLoreans from each of the 3 films at Walmart. I neglected to pick them up. If I find one, John, I'll grab it for you.
Yeah, my favorite version of the DeLorean is the first car. I mean, because I kind of like the little box framing. It doesn't really go out. The second one, I'm kind of glad that it decided to not use plutonium to fuel the time circuits, but that Mr. Fusion thing from the end of the movie. I mean, it makes it look like a dinky little tail fin on a plane.
Yeah. But yeah, no, this movie is probably never going to be remade.
It probably will.
Well,
sadly.
I don't know because we know how the fan base is. Do you think they might risk it, because if they do remake it, people are obviously going to go see it, but the fans are just going to be mad.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
And they won't be able to get away with as much stuff as goes down in the movie.
Mm-hmm. The thing is that is an optimistic way of looking at it. Sadly, well, you're optimistic.
Hollywood.
I'm realistic when it comes to Hollywood. They're gonna do it anyway, regardless of it, because they did it with Ghostbusters. They did it with Disney movies. They're doing it again with Ghostbusters. They're doing it for everything.
Although this time, for the Ghostbusters this time around, it looks good.
It does look good. Because the only reason why they're doing it is nostalgia cash.
Oh, so the new Alien movies from Ridley Scott. I mean, yeah, Ridley Scott's in charge of those, but...
Yeah, but then there's that new Amazon series coming out. Now they're trying to talk about... Now they're trying to focus on class instead of just... I don't know. I don't know. I'm here...
We might review it.
Maybe. If it's
good. We got plans. If it's good, we'll talk about it. If not, oh well.
So
I might, if it's bad, I'll just return to the 40th anniversary short film series.
Sure. Yeah.
Those are good.
So anyway, so how I would always, the only Back to the Future stuff I had besides the movies, I had the 20th anniversary DVD trilogy box set. And that came with an awesome keychain. Had like a little 3D embossment of the DeLorean side profile. But and I still have the box. I still have the box set, but it's full screen. It's full screen.
Oh, it's not widescreen.
It's not. So I haven't gotten the 30th anniversary. I haven't gotten any of the Blu-rays yet. I'm thinking there's like a lot of movies that I want to buy, but I'm kind of more focused on getting equipment for my filmmaking, and I do not get paid enough at my job.
Neither do I, which is why I'm dialing back buying stuff. But yeah, no, I just remembered that time in film class was not the first time I learned about Back to the Future.
Really?
Really, I just remembered. 2015. Everyone's freaking out about, the 30th anniversary. However, big movie came out in 2015, Jurassic World.
Oh.
Think about that, John. It's been 6 years now. But on the DVD, it had a special preview for a box set for the Back to the Future trilogy that had, I think it was like a holographic flux capacitor on the front.
Yep.
I was that looks good. That looks like a good movie. I'm interested. And then lo and behold, we watched it in school.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I first heard of this. I just remembered.
Yeah.
I haven't watched Jurassic World in years.
Yeah,
it's been almost 2 years now.
Yeah, I wanted to get that box set of Back to the Future because not only did it have that flux capacitor little toy, but it had so many collectors box sets. It had,
oh my gosh,
it had a book about the history, and it even not only had the 3 movies, it even had the animated series.
Oh, I didn't know it had the animated series. But yeah, no, that's where I first heard of it. I'm looking over there because Jurassic World is sitting on my shelf. Both the original copy and the collector's tin I picked up a while back. But we'll talk about Jurassic World another time.
Yeah.
But Back to the Future is, like we said, it's one of those great movies that everyone should watch. It has a global following.
Mm-hmm.
Should never be remade. Probably should get a part 4, maybe.
Yes, it probably should. With of course with Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox. If you can get
quickly.
If you can get some of the others, even Crispin Glover, which would be surprising, but we'll get to that in part 2. Even if I'd love to see a part 4. Would I be okay if I don't see a part 4 in my lifetime? Sure.
It's a great series, and it doesn't really need a part 4, but it would be nice to see. Just one more.
Yeah. Oh boy, there's so many iconic quotes, and so many great performances from it. Also,
why don't you make like a tree and get out of here?
Okay, apparently that was actually improvised by Tom Wilson.
I love it.
I know. Oh yeah, and Biff Tannen may actually look very big, but really Michael J. Fox is just very short.
I have seen how short he is. It's just like, oh.
How short is he?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Luckily, I have the internet.
Okay, well, I have the internet too. I know I'm about 5'6", so I know I'm probably in his range.
Ha.
Yeah, so you're... What are you laughing at, you walking stick?
I'm 5'11".
Yeah, walking stick.
Hey, at least I can reach things on the high shelves.
I had thought about this. So there is actually an advantage to being short.
You don't hit your head on everything, on low-hanging light fixtures. I know.
Also quick access to nut shots.
You're not that short.
No, but it's
Hiccup.
I know.
Father, pay attention to me.
I'll pay attention to you when I'm done.
This is unacceptable.
Okay, how about this? You like this?
But yeah, no, Back to the Future is... I keep saying that. God damn it.
Yeah. What's your favorite parts from Back to the Future?
Can I say the whole movie?
Okay, yeah, well, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
My favorite part is when, I suppose my favorite couple sequences is where Marty goes back in time to 1955 and he's trying to figure everything out.
Mm-hmm.
Because it feels very real. He's confused. And it's very well acted. It's more of a time jump for me. I mean, this came out in the 80s, and I first saw it a few years ago. So even back then, back in like 2015, 16, whenever I friggin' first saw it, it was a time jump for me to look back into 85. How do you think it felt for me to look back into, pre-civil rights era?
They got the look down. I mean, good God, the difference between 85 Hill Valley and 55 Hill Valley. My God, you see how dirty the area is. That everything's in graffiti in 85. 55, clean. It's so clean. My God, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And of course, the main square of Hill Valley is, of course, Universal's famous backlot that's been used in a lot of movies.
It's always in the goddamn backlot. But it's really weird to look back on because it changed. It's more of a change from 85 to 95 than from 85 to now.
It is.
Granted, it's a longer time period forward, but the technology, at least everyday technology, I mean, yeah, there's been obvious improvements to technology from the 80s, and it's just a bit weird to look back on, but it's not too different. 55 to now. Holy crap!
I know. Woo!
Woo! Who uses glass bottles for a Coke?
They still make them.
I know, but you don't see them too much.
I know. You can
I
get
don't
them.
know why. They're more easily recycled.
You can get them at gas stations, and for some reason, they actually make the Coke taste better. I think because it
was initially designed to be in a glass bottle, and it was also designed to be drank warm because it was invented before refrigeration.
It was also invented originally as the magic cure-all.
Well, it made people feel good. Knowing what some of that original special ingredient was.
Yeah. It was supposed to be a magic cure-all, kind of like snake oil.
And people just drank it recreationally, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't blame them knowing what was in there.
Oh, boy.
No way you could get away with that today.
I know.
But it was, I don't know. John, take over.
Okay.
I'm just gonna freaking praise the movie.
I know. Let's see. Some of my favorite parts. There's a lot, and there are some things that I would like to talk about. Some moments that upon my latest viewing, I kind of thought, I never noticed that. But of course, I love the first time travel sequence, with Einstein, the dog, and of course we have that other iconic line. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit. I mean, good God. No one makes lines like that anymore.
No, they don't.
No one writes stuff like that anymore. No one comes up with stuff like that. I would love to hear.
Come on, John, you're a director. Get on there.
I would love to hear in a modern movie someone say, "You're gonna see some serious shit."
Write that down.
And of course, there's the final time travel sequence. Because oh my God, everything it is Murphy's Law to a T. Everything just seems to go wrong, but when it works, you're
huge
just
payoff.
It's You're like Doc Brown at the end. You're yelling down the streets, jumping and laughing.
It worked! God damn it, I keep saying this. It's good.
It's good. Watch it. This is an iconic
Watch it
movie.
once. Just watch it once.
Watch it once and then let us know what you think about it.
Absolutely.
Come back to this podcast. Leave a comment. What you think? What you thought about it?
Absolutely.
If you love it, great. If you thought it sucked, fine. Just let us know.
As long as you watch it. It's, in terms of needing to watch, it's equal to Jurassic Park. That's how good it is. And you know that's something coming from me.
It is on the 1001 movies to see before you die list.
Absolutely.
So get on that.
Absolutely. It's so good. And I don't have any. Are we going to end the podcast?
No.
Like it.
No.
It's so good. It's so goddamn good. The music, great. Acting, impeccable.
You know who?
Awesome.
You know who did the music for Back to the Future?
Was it who I think it is?
Well, who are you thinking of?
Alan Silvestri.
Uh-huh. Does the name ring a bell?
Hang on a sec. Predator.
Yes.
And the Polar Express.
Yes, he did it. Polar Express and the Avengers.
Haven't seen that movie in a while either.
The Avengers, as well as Infinity War and Endgame. Also, I think he also did the Captain America: The First Avenger.
Oh man, that's one of my favorite ones from that pre-Avengers era. That's one of my favorites.
The First Avenger. Let me double check. Yeah, Joe Johnston, the guy who made Jurassic Park 3.
Sour taste.
And
what that is, I love Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah, you want to know another thing? Jon Favreau, who directed Iron Man, he directed Zathura, which is the spiritual sequel to Jumanji, which was directed by Joe Johnston. Oh, I love it.
Oh dear.
Okay, who did? Come on, give me the cast. Give me the cast and crew. Everyone.
Oh jeez.
Wow, that's a long list, even for extras. Casting.
What,
art
for
direction.
Back to the Future?
No, the Captain America.
Well, yeah, because it has
Avenger.
a lot of extras in it. Look in the background.
Yep. Sound department, special effects. Come on, I just want to know who did the score. Might as well just go to Wikipedia.
I don't know why you haven't.
You use Wikipedia. I use IMDb. Captain America: The First Avenger. Johnston, cinematography, music. Yep, Alan Silvestri did the First Avenger.
Okay.
You know, it's actually kind of funny. Let's see. The Predator came out in 1989, right?
I think so, yeah.
So you remember the music? The music plays that when the Libyans finally show up, and it's yeah. It sounds.
Sorry, that was the Predator theme, but
it sounds.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it sounds a lot like the Predator theme. That's just, and that's kind of how you can tell Alan Silvestri that's part of Alan Silvestri's style. He seems to like to put percussions, or like to make melodies very percussive.
And as a percussionist, I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. All right. The other sequence that I like is, of course, finding out how to get back to the future. When they find out finding out where they can get the 1.21 gigawatts. And yes, I was such a movie nerd. I even asked one of my science teachers in middle school, like, okay, what is a gigawatt? I don't think I got an answer.
It's a measurement of electrical current, John.
I'm pretty sure it's also pronounced gigawatt.
It's like megalodon and megalodon. You can put your emphasis on a different syllable. It's the same thing.
Yeah. I don't know quite what was the question that I asked, because it was back in middle school, but my teacher did respond, you'll either need some plutonium or a bolt of lightning.
So I see your teacher was a nerd as well.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
He was a cool science teacher. He made science fun.
Oh, those are the best.
Mm-hmm.
I got to light shit on fire.
I got to blow shit up.
I sort of did. I made gunpowder.
Ooh.
Because I asked him if I could.
You win.
It was for a project for my world history, and we did. My group picked ancient China. So then I went to the chemistry teacher and asked if I could make gunpowder using the original recipe that the ancient Chinese did, and he said yes. Of course, we got permission from the principal who just wanted to show up and watch. And then we proceeded to put it into a tiny paper rocket and take it out to the football field and light it off. So yes, my school let me make explosives.
Wow.
And I think that was like 2016 when I did that.
Oh my God.
You can't get away with that now. That was like last time you could get away with it.
I don't even think you could have gotten. You can't even regularly get away with that in 2016. You know what? God, yes. God, yeah. Oh man, that's a depressing thought.
But yeah, no, that was fun. We hand ground the sulfur, so we had to work for it. But that's actually a great segue into the next portion, I suppose we could talk about. The differences between school then and school now.
I was not actually prepared for that. Ian, what were you thinking?
Holy shit, this would not happen today.
Like what?
Just random people walking into a damn high school?
Oh yeah, that's right.
You can't do that. You cannot do that anymore. There's several measures of locked doors you have to get admitted through from the head office. You can't just waltz right in.
I know. Okay,
I don't know if that's how it was when you were in high school. Or were things tight, a little looser back then?
No. In my high school, we did have those. We had those electronic locks that, they unlocked at a certain time, they locked at a certain time, and if you were out past the lock time, you needed a key. You either needed a teacher to help you get in, or wait for someone to come out.
Oh, you couldn't buzz in, like ask?
Nope. No, didn't have.
Oh wow! So if you're late, you're screwed.
Yeah. No, I don't think the doors would stay open between the school hours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they would be open at 7:30, and they would close at 3:30.
Oh, that's completely different.
Mhm.
Ours opened at 7:30 to let the kids off the bus in, and then at the beginning of first period at 8:20 they would lock. No, I lie. They would lock after 10 minutes because it takes that long. Then the doors would lock, so you couldn't get in. You had to either be buzzed in or you're shit out of luck. Then you got to go in through the office, and there's just all these security measures now for kids' safety and whatnot because the time we live in. And apparently back in the 50s, you could just walk right in.
I know. I mean, no one really batted an eye when a stranger, and I'm mostly referring to Doc Brown. I don't think anyone.
No one would bat an eye at Marty.
Yeah. It was like, new kid. Yeah, okay.
Strange old man.
Yeah, the strange old man. I think he was in his 40s in the 50s.
Maybe 50s. I don't know. But regardless.
And yeah. It is kind of funny to see. Yeah, that's what life would be like. That's kind of what makes this a strange choice of words, timeless.
Yes. Another thing that you wouldn't get away with is a lot of stuff, because these days cameras are freaking everywhere. I mean, you would never get away with all the bullying that happened in the school. You would never get away with, the fights and whatnot in public, usually.
Yeah, not if it was in a bigger city school. I think Hill Valley is one of those bigger cities.
Probably.
Kind of like what mine is, not a capital city, not a metropolitan city. Area. The rural areas, oh god, I'm pretty sure the rural area high schools, I think they can be classified as battlegrounds.
They can be. I mean, I was more or less bullied in high school. It pays to make friends with people that are on the football team. Yeah. And I still work with some of those guys at the park, so we're all good friends.
So the jocks work at the zoo. They work with animals.
Yeah, I work with a couple of them. Yeah. And we're good friends.
That's oh yeah. That's something that has changed throughout the years. Normally you think that the athletes they would go to the athletics. They would get scholarships for either football or baseball, that kind of thing. Nowadays, yeah, we can if we want, but I honestly kind of like working with reptiles.
It really is. I mean, one of the major football players when I was in high school, he started his first job at the park. He was going to go into sports casting and whatnot for, the big leagues and whatnot. And he eventually let that go and just went full time as a zookeeper. No, shout out to Alex. No harm, dude. You keep doing what you're doing. I think that's watch my goddamn podcast.
I think that's kind of why we're okay with the character of Biff Tannen and his goons. Oh, by the way, one of his goons is Billy Zane. The bad guy fiance from Titanic.
I've never seen Titanic.
Never seen Titanic? Okay. Well, any listeners, if you remember Titanic, yes, Billy Zane is in Back to the Future. One of the extras that was able to beat of Biff and Mad Dog Tannen's group was not Mad Dog. One of the guys that was in all three movies, he was an extra, actually did make a stop here at my city, at my local comic book shop. I didn't get to go, COVID.
Ah, shoot.
I know. I mean, I couldn't. I mean, if we weren't dealing with the pandemic, I would have gotten a selfie, and I would have posted it right here on this podcast.
Oh, John. Reach out to him. Does he want to join us?
I don't know. I'll have to. Oh, and there's that. And that noise is going to be on the soundtrack.
Oh, well. We are quote unquote professional.
Yes, we are. I don't really know if he would want to join. I'll also have to backtrack to see who it was. He was not only in Young Biff's gang, he was also in, the group at the end of part 3.
No, I mean, that sucks, dude. You missed out on that because goddamn pandemic and people won't wear their goddamn masks.
And no one wants to get vaccinated. Oh yeah, this is how last month was just an absolute shit show of a public forum about reinstating mask mandates in schools. They ultimately decided not, but a majority of it was a bunch of mouth breathing rednecks saying.
Oh, so Central PA. All right, go on.
Well, also the tri-state area of Iowa, South Dakota, and Nebraska, my area. Pretty much just saying that don't want their kids to wear masks. They have problems like with breathing. They can't. Yes, they just don't. They're just tired of wearing all the masks, that kind of thing. And that science has shown that masks do not do a thing. I mean, I hear that. We're hearing that in the news studio. This was streamed into our news station, and we had to listen to a bunch of yapping dogs. That
really makes you think back to the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
This sort of thing would not happen back then, believe it or not, because what was it? The polio vaccine.
The polio
really
vaccine
kicked in the high gear that day, and they lined everyone up and jabbed each and every one of them.
Mm-hmm. Polio. I think maybe even smallpox.
I think smallpox was a little earlier.
Okay.
I think. Don't quote me on that, but. Yeah, no, I do know polio vaccine went through hard back then because everyone was getting it.
Absolutely.
Parent consent or not.
Yeah. And that, ladies and gentlemen, what happened last month is how I have pretty much lost any shred of my give a fucks.
Hey, John, you want to buy an island and move there?
Sure. How much you got? How much you got?
Only a couple thousand.
Whew, jeez.
I work at a freaking zoo.
No, I mean you have more than me. I used to have 1,000, but I had some but there were some emergencies.
Oh,
yes.
Well,
now I'm slowly.
I suppose we could go up to New Hampshire and stay in the family homestead.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Middle of freaking nowhere, so.
Geographic
we can go
isolation.
Yeah. So, we'll consider it. We can. We're not even on the goddamn movie anymore.
I know, but you tried to bring it back to
I tried.
The 50s. That was good. That was good though.
Things are just so different now between the 50s and the 80s and now.
Yeah. I want a time traveling machine. I want a time traveling car to take me to 1985 or at least 1990, the year, so I could actually live my childhood again. Of course, then I'd have to
your own birth.
No, dude, no.
You could witness the birth of Christ.
Right, December 25th, 000.
I think the car might short out.
We haven't learned. Yeah, in the 80s, we hadn't learned the true dates yet, like the signing of the Declaration of Independence, July 4th, 1776. Yeah, now it wasn't really signed on that day. It was drafted.
It was signed
later.
Later, yeah. But things are just so different now compared to then. It feels like a simpler time.
Yes,
part of me wonders how much of actually, even in Back to the Future, I wonder how much of the 50s is more romanticized.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm sure our perception of the past in our lifetime is heavily romanticized.
Oh, no doubt about it. I know that I'm romanticizing the 90s because I lived in blissful ignorance as a child.
Same for me in the early 2000s. Granted, I was too young to remember 9/11, but
yeah. Oh boy. Oh yeah.
We'll get to. I got some stuff to say about, part 2 concerning 9/11, but we'll get there.
But anyway, the one thing that I really wanted to talk about was just Christopher Lloyd's acting. I mean,
we did. It's perfect.
Well, yeah, but he brings a lot of himself into it. He's pretty much he's stated how him and Doc Brown are essentially the same person. So he speaks fast. And he moves with exaggerated movement. I remembered seeing in one of the special features of the DVD that they kind of made him look more like a composer, like Leopold Stokowski, with the hair, that kind of thing, and his arm movements. I just sent him into the future. 1 minute into the future. I mean, he moves his arm like he is a conductor. I love that. I mean, all his movements, he puts his whole body into his performance. That's what I'm trying to say, and I love that.
Absolutely. You don't see that anymore.
I know.
You don't see any of these really great performances much anymore. I don't know why. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe because they see that type of acting as hokey. I don't know.
Depends on the character, I suppose.
Yeah. We haven't really talked about the actual star of not only the movie but the franchise.
The DeLorean.
Yes, the DeLorean.
Good luck finding one, John. You're not gonna get one.
I know I'm not gonna get.
They have shit fuel economy. How do I know this? Because I wanted one.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because since it's 2021, this is actually the 40th year that the DeLorean was first released to the public. And
are they re-releasing it?
No, actually there's a contest where you could actually receive a DeLorean where the outside it looks exactly as it did when it first arrived, but inside it's completely modern. Like, it has a Bluetooth stereo. I hope it gets rid of the manual transmission.
Yeah, no, definitely get rid of that. But hey, if it looks good on the outside,
oh God, it did. It was just.
Okay, well, I know what John's gonna try to get now. He's gonna try to get that. Matt's gonna freaking work on his Jurassic Park vehicle, and I'm gonna do something or other.
Are you kidding? I'd much rather it's much easier for me to get a van and turn it into the Mystery Machine than to get a DeLorean.
No, you're gonna try to win it.
I know I'm not gonna win it. I'm not gonna do it anyway because I'm not going to win it. Do you know how many contests that I have entered in the hopes of winning one, and I've never done it? Too many to count.
Well, get a time machine and go back in time and stop yourself.
But then I wouldn't have learned anything. But yeah, I remembered when I became upset when I finally saw all the the Back to the Future trilogies. I was in middle school at the time, so my early teens. And so I ended up I searched for DeLoreans, an actual DeLorean car. And I actually have seen a real DeLorean twice in my lifetime in my own city.
Oh.
One was in a garage. It was getting worked on. Another, someone was just casually driving it on the road. I happen to.
You don't casually drive a DeLorean in this day and age.
I know.
It's like Matt with a Jeep. He doesn't casually drive his Jeep.
Someone was driving it. Was actually taking it for a nice little Sunday stroll.
You don't casually drive it. You know what the hell you're doing. Like Matt with the Jeep. He drives it through. Everyone knows what the heck he's doing. He's freaking showing it off. Just like how that guy was showing off his DeLorean to all the geeks like you and me.
Yes. Yeah, he was. And I do remember coming across websites where you could actually order parts to transform your DeLorean, if you had one, into the time machine.
Oh,
I know.
Oh man. God, I'm drawing a blank. What's the next topic, John?
What's the next topic? I mean, do you kind of like how? Well, I wanted to talk about. Remember how Marty and Doc meet for the first time? Yeah, you remember that? Yeah, that contraption. I mean, it's a funny sequence. I mean, you know, when Marty just like pops that thing off his head. I mean, it's funny.
You know what this means? It means that this darn thing doesn't work.
Actually, I think it did work. Because this is what I've noticed on my latest viewing. I think he actually was picking up some of Marty's thoughts, but they weren't really what he was thinking. They were more in his short-term memory. Because he said, "You come from a great distance." I think he was actually more accurate. It's more accurate than cold reading. You know, those fake psychics.
Oh yeah,
that kind of thing. He goes, "You want me to make a subscription to the Saturday Evening Post?" Well, what did Marty look at to confirm the date? A newspaper. It wasn't a Saturday Evening Post because it was morning, but they met in the evening. That's how he got it. Yes. He goes, "Donations. You want me to make donations to the Coast Guard Youth Auxiliary?" That's kind of what sold it to me. Like, why did you come up with Coast Guard? Why not?
Because everyone's asking him if he was in the Coast Guard.
No, they mentioned about the life preserver.
That's
vest.
Right, yeah.
Marty's the one who said Coast Guard. So it would kind of be odd that Doc Brown would actually mention something that Marty mentioned earlier, if it was coincidence, but it's not. He could have said Navy because Navy did exist in the 50s.
It's existed since the founding of the country.
Yeah, okay. But he said Coast Guard, so I think his device needed some tweaking because he was actually looking through his short-term memory. But he didn't understand that because, well, what did he say when he sees the time machine? He says, "I finally invented something that works." So I think he's just too distracted, too frustrated with failure after failure after failure that he doesn't see little minor successes.
Mm-hmm.
And that just kind of made me appreciate it a little more.
Yeah. Agreed.
No, that's what I wanted to talk. God, I've been waiting to actually mention that ever since the start of this thing.
Well, why did you wait for me? Because I was just going on tangent after tangent.
Well, I didn't know. Well, how could we have segued into it?
You act like we have segues.
Well, we don't. Yes, I know we don't. All right.
But this movie is, I don't know. It
is good.
It's good. I keep saying that, John. I can't keep saying that. Honestly, what else can we say about it?
I definitely know. I finally understood why Doc Brown had to loop around the clock hand a few times before sliding down the cable. I simply thought, why did he have to do that? And I was like, oh right, because it snapped earlier from the branch. If he didn't wrap it loop it around something stable, then it would just break again, and then we're literally on a time crunch here. So I thought, oh, okay, that makes sense. I finally understand that. Yeah, it is quite amazing. It is a classic.
It's a classic film in and of itself, and it's a classic science fiction movie.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no, if you do remake it, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard.
I don't think you can.
You can't. How can you find actors? How can you write a story that would be equivalent to this one? How can you find actors that would be equivalent to Lloyd and Fox?
I don't think you can.
They'd
be hard pressed just to find actors that are as good as them. I don't think you can come up with a better story.
I know, and how can, especially, and like I said, Lloyd pretty much put himself into that role. I mean,
you can't replace him.
You can't replace him. You'd have to find a way to make Doc Brown and Marty separate in this remake, separate from what they were in the original, and that's going to be hard.
Damn near impossible.
Yeah.
Because this movie has so many fans all over the world, and if there's one thing off, you're done. You can't get it. It won't work.
I know.
Knowing how fans are today, you get one thing off, it's not going to work, especially for a movie of this caliber.
I know. And what are you going to use for a time machine? Are you going to try to get something? Are you going to get a DeLorean? Well, that would be nice. But if you decide not to, what else? There's kind of a reason why the DeLorean became so iconic. Mostly because the designer actually made the car so as a front to sell drugs, and so now they're not made anymore. So.
Aww. But it. I mean, what would they use? A Bugatti?
a Fiat? Would they use would they use one of the many cars that are made nowadays that you can just see off the street? No, the reason why the DeLorean is so amazing is because it's not something you see much anymore.
You would have to, if you were gonna remake Back to the Future, and you were going to get a type of car like that you don't see much, you would probably have to go for one of those hybrid flying cars that actually do exist today. And you would have to do one of those, partially because they're a little boxy, like the DeLorean is. And 2, you don't see them. 3, that would be a good segue into, the future. And because
I'd like to see a photo of that, because that would probably be that'd be something to bring up for part 2.
I'm on it.
You can send it to me later.
They don't look good. The future is also, along with the past, is heavily romanticized.
Mm-hmm.
It's never gonna look as good as what we want. You know, the Jetsons, where you're going.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like that. It's never gonna look like that.
And if you decide to have it go, the story where they go actually to the future, it's probably gonna look like every other future that we've seen in most movies. Everything is
can't go to the future. That's the thing, because we see that all the time now.
Mm-hmm.
RoboCop went to the future. Granted, not that far into the future, but we did that. Terminator sort of did.
Yeah, but every future now seems to look the same. Everything has to look so very rounded and streamlined.
Because that's what has been happening nowadays. I mean, look at cars, 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They were still sort of boxy. They were starting to smooth out the edges. But nowadays with manufacturing, everything has cool lines and creases.
And that's supposed to, and I don't think it's mostly for just design aesthetics. I think it's more, for fuel aerodynamics, fuel economy, that kind of thing. Because we're all about the fuel, and I get that. But every future, how can we're not going to see a very different future if Hollywood just makes the same future in their movies.
No, granted, a romanticized future is somewhat entertaining, depending on the story, and it's supposedly something to work towards, but it's never going to be how it is. It's just
it's probably going to be like the future in Alien. No, in Alien.
Or in Alien, yeah. I mean, if we think about it, let's go back to the 80s for a minute. What did they think the future was going to be?
All flying cars and, well, robots and jetpacks. We still haven't gotten those yet.
We're just starting to see jetpacks in the military.
We are?
Yeah, like rudimentary stuff. It's not going to be civilians having jetpacks. My gosh.
I know we finally gotten the hoverboard, and I don't mean that toy, that dinky little one with the two wheels. I mean,
my god.
Someone actually invented a hoverboard, but it only hovers like an inch off the ground.
That doesn't count.
It's
a start, I suppose.
It's a start, yes.
But you can't go to the future anymore because we see it so much now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in my personal opinion, I like the more apocalyptic future. Like, I guess, Alien, somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
Terminator.
The more
somewhat.
The more industrial looking future.
Yes, because
also like in Blade Runner.
Yeah. And sort of in Total Recall.
Yeah.
But it just so I don't know. The future is really hard to look into.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, you can dream up these big things like flying cars and hoverboards and self-lacing shoes and
everyone and their mother has dreamed that.
Absolutely. And it just, if we look into, now, they thought we would have all that cool shit now. We don't.
No.
If anything, more of our advancements over the past 40 or so years have just been, more technology and communication.
Mm-hmm. And even that gets mucked up.
It does.
Yeah, you heard about the Facebook scandal?
Oh my! Which one?
The whistleblower.
Well, yeah, but which one? There's tons.
Yeah, there's a ton. Yeah, but I'm talking about the most recent one with the whistleblower.
Yeah, it just technology is moving very fast nowadays. And if we say in, the next, say we just add on another 25 years to now, what are we going to see? We don't know. Probably, more stuff for entertainment, because that seems to be where a lot of advancements are happening nowadays. Maybe a lot of stuff in manufacturing and whatnot, with 3D printing and whatnot. But
yeah, I mean,
honestly, that's cool. I love 3D printing. But
that is another thing on my to-do list to get, because that is a handy little device for DIY filmmakers.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they weren't around in the 80s, were they? That's relatively recent.
No, that
in of itself is cool. It's not something anybody really thought of. Obviously, someone had to think of it, but back then it was more like one of those pipe dream things. Like, wouldn't it be cool if we could just print parts? Lo and behold, we can do that now. I mean, we can. Most of the time, it's plastic, but even so, we can use metal filaments and whatnot, and that in and of itself is making things a lot cheaper. And nobody thinks of these small, I say small, but industrial 3D printers are expensive. But
yeah,
not when thinking of these big dreams of the future, nobody really thinks of, I'm boring you, John.
No. No.
Flying cars.
Flying cars, yes. We think of we want the more romantic sides of the future when we're thinking about the future.
Exactly. Whereas I think a more realistic future would be stuff like 3D printers. And I mean, what if, we could 3D print a house?
Oh, good God.
Like a giant portable 3D printer? Housing costs would go way down. I'm sure we could build a 3D printer that could make, a small structure like a shed or something. I guarantee we could do that.
That would be awesome.
I know. Housing costs would go way down. We could supply homes to the needy. And colony on Mars, just 3D print the structure. I mean, no one thinks of this shit. And then when we have like the starting stuff, like a little thing that can print gears and whatnot, and we can have a prototype in like, instead of, 20 years ago, we could get a prototype. I'm on a tangent now, I know.
Yeah.
we would have to cast each individual part, and then we could have a prototype in a couple weeks. Nowadays, we can get a prototype tomorrow. I mean, that's what the future's probably going to be. Things are going to be made a lot cheaper for less cost and less labor. But then again, what happens when things get cheaper? They're not made to last anymore.
Quality goes down.
This phone here, I still hang on to it because it sort of works, but camera quality shit, random YouTube videos pause while I'm watching them, and it's just not great. But quality is going down. I'm sure at some point, it's going to be a lot worse because things are going to be made so cheaply due to improvements in manufacturing that quality is just going to be like, oh, all right, it broke. Just, here's a couple $100, go get a new fridge or whatever. And I think that's probably what the future is going to be in the next 20 years.
Okay.
We're not getting flying cars, though they exist. They're not going to be
widely available.
No.
Anytime soon.
Never. They're never going to be widely available unless, AI. Unless AI is allowed to fly, and people aren't, unless you have a pilot's license. Which, look at today. No AI is going to control my flying car, my freedoms.
Okay. All right.
You know how it's going to be.
That's all right. Bring it back.
What else are we going to talk about Back to the Future?
I don't think there's pretty much anything else other than the fact that actually Marty did invent the skateboard. Skateboards actually did get invented in the 50s. Yes.
Shit. But Back to the Future does raise up an interesting point in and of itself. The type of impact that one person can have.
Mm-hmm. I think what's kind of also amazing, and this is what I gathered from my recent viewing of Back to the Future, is that this is a story about a teenager, and normally in the 80s and the 90s, whenever a story was focused on a teenager, it was kind of all about how their parents do not understand them. So there's usually moments where they try to have the parents, try to understand and relate to their kids.
Freaky Friday.
Yes, that's an example. Back to the Future is kind of an inverse on that, in that it's not that this is a teenager who has to actually try to relate to his parents during their teens through an accident. So in a way, this is the story itself is also timeless.
Mm-hmm. And subversive.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean,
we do go. Okay, it does tread the line of creepy a little bit. Yes. But it's about a son who's trying to relate to his father.
Mm-hmm.
Is trying to actually get to know his parents, which is a common thing for 80s and 90s teen stories. But again, it's written very well that it's not generic.
Disney Channel specials.
Yes.
But yeah, no, this is, you bring up a good point there, John. And everything you said, it's accurate. And while the creepy parts are, it also lends to I just finished watching it, and I was dying because it's so funny. It's that weird type of creepy funny where you have to laugh because they're uncomfortable.
Yes. That's another thing that's kind of different. In the 80s, I mean, when Michael J. Fox finds out that his mother as a teen is actually in love with him, and he's going like, "Oh wow, oh man, this is heavy." I mean, if compared to nowadays, if that happens, everyone would go, gross.
You're not wrong.
Just remember, just think back to your reaction to that thing. Your reaction. That's.
It's just uncomfortable.
That's a typical.
But it's funny.
I know, but I think that's how a Gen Xer would react. I mean, you've been hearing about Gen Xers. They were tough, that kind of thing. They get punched and they just roll with it.
Yeah,
that's it. That's what Michael J. Fox did. I mean, oh God, my mother's in love with me. Oh boy, this sucks.
There's a bit of a generational gap here.
I know there's a generational gap here.
There's oh my gosh, that does raise up an interesting point. If for some reason he didn't know, like say you go back, I don't know, 100 years or so.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, freaking part 3, I suppose. And you somehow didn't know. And you form a relationship with your great whatever grandmother when she's your age. And eventually you find out.
Uh-huh.
Somehow.
I think Futurama tackled that one.
I think they
did. With Roswell that ends well.
Oh my gosh. It does. Oh my goodness. It raises an interesting question about that. And I think there's a freaking trope about it, like you're your own father or some shit.
You're your own grandfather. Yes.
Yes. And it's just something so weird. And that nowadays it's very uncomfortable.
I know. I know. Oh God, but oh dang, I thought of something else and now I lost my train of thought. I lost my train of thought.
What, do you have the hots for your great-great-grandmother, John?
No, it was something else Back to the Future related. God dang it. I can't. Oh, yeah. I guess then there's kind of the other question is like how destructive is knowledge of the future? I mean, we can see the one extreme. Marty interfered with his parents' meeting, and that ultimately caused his he nearly disappeared. And of course, also Endgame pretty much told everyone that that's bullshit.
And then there's the Terminator series.
I know, no, but
then the first few.
Yeah, but then there's the end of the movie. I mean, Doc eventually just decided, okay, I'll open this letter, about preventing his death. I mean, does it really say that going back in time, do you have to like stay out of it? Or can you make like little small changes?
I think it depends, because Michael Crichton actually talked about this in a wonderful book I highly recommend called Timeline. It is honestly one of my favorite novels from Crichton, and it really does discuss this in a big way. I think you could make small scale changes without too much of an impact, but even so, chaos theory, one small change can lead to a tidal wave later on.
True, yes.
And it also depends what type, I suppose this is an important question, what type of time travel is it? Are you going back in your timeline, or are you going to a different one in a parallel universe? Because that's what happened in Timeline by Michael Crichton. That way they could change things and learn, because it was very similar to their own timeline's history, but it wouldn't impact the future in any way. So it depends based on the course of the story.
And that's kind of the whole thing, and that's kind of what, and I also kind of figured that on that whole multiverse theory, I figured that out during high school. Like, that's kind of how Marty was really eventually safe, if you think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, if he traveled back in time and stopped his parents from meeting, therefore not being born, how could he go back? How could he travel back into the past?
That is a big contradiction with time travel. That everybody's trying to figure that out, and
people think that time travel is really just a straight line, but really it's just like multiple branches, different streams.
Theory.
Yeah,
one change will send things off in a completely new direction.
Yeah. So yeah, Marty may have disappeared from. I think Doc was a little bit hasty in proving his theory. He said, "This proves my theory." Of course, also it was written that way, that time is just one single line.
It depends on the story that you're going for.
Yeah.
But it does. Back to the Future does raise a lot of interesting points about time travel. What can you change? Are some changes okay? And how would you determine that? But it's something that, in and of itself, Back to the Future is a great movie that everybody should watch. And it's also a thinking man's movie, because it inspires deeper conversations like this one.
Yeah.
It's like Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park, on the surface, is just a great blockbuster. but you can have a lot of interesting discussions about it. Like, well, genetic engineering. Should we? Should we not? What level is acceptable?
Mm-hmm.
Should we or shouldn't we? What exactly went wrong? It depends on the course of the story, as well as what you do with that knowledge. Knowledge of the future, knowledge about the science that you're using. It just depends.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I think with that...
that ending speech.
Yes. I think now we can actually conclude this. I think we've been at this for about 2 hours.
Just the two of us. Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you choose a great movie, like Back to the Future. So it's now time for our rating out of 10. While there are some flaws, yes, Back to the Future, just based purely on nostalgia, as also as a filmmaker, I'd say yes, it is an icon, is a classic. It is definitely one of those movies that I consider to be untouchable in terms of just modernizing that kind of thing.
You can't.
It has an iconic look. The characters and the actors, they're all synonymous with when you hear the words Back to the Future. This is clearly a gem. This is a gem that needs to be protected. So I give Back to the Future Part 1 9 bolts of lightning out of 10.
And I honestly have to agree. It's such a good movie. Everyone should watch it. It sparked so much discussion between just us two jackasses on the internet. And it's just so great. It's timeless. It gives you a whole new perspective on the past, the present, where you are, and the future, and what that could hopefully entail. Granted, this current future seems to suck, but we can always hope for something better. We can always work towards something better. And honestly, one person can make a difference. Even a small change could hopefully chaos affect its way into a better, brighter tomorrow. And where we're going, we don't need roads.
All right, so for your rating,
I have to agree with.
It's 10 o'clock, so now my lights are scheduled to turn off.
My rating, same as yours, 9, maybe 9.5. It's just so great. I have a bit of nostalgia with it, a little bit. Nowhere near as much as John, granted, but it's something that, honestly, it holds a special place in film and in science fiction. It is well-deserved. No remake. Hopefully a part 4. I swear, if they freaking try to remake this, I am done.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Back to the Future, 9.5 out of 10. It's great.
And with that concludes today's Nerd-Vana podcast. Join us next week, where we will be talking about part 2 of this amazing trilogy. And yes, we are going to the future and then to the past.
Although this part of the future, or this future, is already in our past now.
Yeah, I think we determined that last month.
It's all in the past.
Yes, it's all in the past now. All right, but anyway, yes. This for Nerd-Vana podcast. This is John Murphy
and Ian Benoit
signing off.